Okay, so while I've been building Avebury and making all these stones, there's still quite a few to go, as you can see. I've also been taking time off from stone modelling just to try out some environmental settings, just to see how they start to look once more of the stones get into place. And one of the things I was interested in, or am interested in, is the positions of the sun on particular days that appear to have had some kind of significance to Neolithic people, particularly midsummer sunrise and midwinter sunset, which it appears, certainly in terms of midwinter sunset, quite a few Neolithic monuments in Great Britain and in Ireland were aligned. Newgrange and Maze How in Ireland are typical examples, and indeed Stonehenge, which actually appears to be more orientated towards midwinter sunset, but also because of that will be orientated on the other side to midsummer sunrise, which I'll talk about in a minute. So what you can do in Firestorm, which is the viewer that I use, is you can set sky presets for different places where the sun will rise, and different sort of environmental conditions in a facility called Windlight, and it is a fabulous facility to be able to play around with. So what I have here is the construction that I'm putting up in the southern circle at Avebury. At the time that Avebury was built, there was a very large stone called the obelisk, probably the tallest stone, it's thought, in the Avebury complex, and that effectively, as you can see here, sat in the middle of the southern circle. There are a line of stones that run down the side of it here, and you can see, sorry, my cursor is playing up at the minute for some reason, but you can see them just along this line in front of us. So I wondered what effect the midsummer sunrise might have on our view of the obelisk, and also the kind of partner setting, or possibly partner setting, in the northern circle, but I'll come on to that in a little while. So this is the setting for the midsummer sunrise. The sun rises sort of east of north, not exactly northeast, but east of northeast, on the 21st of June or thereabouts on the longest day. In the UK, we're about 51 degrees north and about 1.5 degrees west at Avebury. So you can set up the sun to rise in a particular place, and then you can see the effect that that has on the stones. What has particularly interested me here is the effect that this has on the obelisk in terms of the shadow that it casts at this time in the morning, which is very early sunrise. This is just as the sun is making it over the horizon. You can see that in this line of stones it cuts the second one. I'll just pull back slightly and upwards so you get a bit of a better view of this. Oops, not quite that far out. You can see that it cuts the third stone in the line from the bottom, the way we're looking at it, but also that the tip of it just hits this stone, just the very top of it hits this stone. Of course, as the day goes on the longest day, the shadows will shorten, and of course it'll turn round as well. The sun shadows will turn round, but the shadow will also shorten. And during the course of the year, the shadows will change over time as the sun position on sunrise changes as well. So actually, when you do that, it looks like the shadow of the obelisk traces out an arc around the southern circle, which I can try to do. As I say, my cursor is unfortunately not enjoying itself at the moment, so it's making it a bit difficult to do that. I can't quite get to this. So I can show you where the environment editor is, and go to Sky Presets, and if I go to Edit the current preset, then these are the details on the current preset. But here in Easting Angle, this is the one that I can change to change the angle, change the azimuth or the position of the sun on the horizon. So if I move it to the right, it actually moves the sun position round to the east. So this is where it would rise on equinoxes, both in March and in September. And if I take it right back, oh, this is a real pain with my cursor playing at the minute, so that's east again, and then it goes to roughly about here on the, just about there on the midwinter sunrise. The sun rises a little in the southeast, but rather east of south in midwinter. So it gives you an idea of the kinds of things that you can do. Let's just go back to Midsummer Sunrise. I also then wondered what might happen if we looked at it at midwinter. For some reason my it's playing up here a bit. So at midwinter sunset, at the midwinter solstice sunset. So if I go to choose a different setting that I've created, which is a fixed sky that I've made called midwinter solstice sunset, then that's what happens at the midwinter solstice sunset. So the sun is setting in the southwest, in fact a little west of southwest. And the shadows obviously are coming from the other direction at sunset. But it's quite still an interesting thing to look at from the point of view of how it illuminates the other sides of the stones. And if you experience it from the ground, it looks like this, which is actually really evocative. Sunrises and sunsets here in virtual Avebury are definitely my favourite times. They are really evocative times. So that's the obelisk in the southern circle. I've also now just recently created what's called the Cove in the northern circle. Now the Cove in the present day, there are only 2 stones left in the big arrangement of the Cove. There are other smaller stones which have now also gone, but I need to just do a bit more research on exactly where they stood. But the 2 main stones in the Cove that still exist are the one in the middle, the one here that I'm nearest to, and its partner to the right. But from excavation it's known that there was another stone that stood essentially opposite the partner on the right to the left. So in midwinter sunset, this is the way that this arrangement is illuminated. The inside of the box of the Cove is dark, obviously, but it does cast quite a nice long shadow of the middle stone and its 2 outer stones to make quite a nice kind of arrangement. But my favourite time here is in Midsummer Sunrise. So if I go back to the environment settings and choose bright summer solstice sunrise, then you can see on the ground just how effective that is actually inside the Cove. And it really is a lovely feeling for the entire Cove to be completely filled by sunlight and all its interior surfaces are illuminated. Now that might be an accident. It might not be. It may be that the stones were put up and just by accident they were pointing directly towards the summer solstice sunrise. And even if they were put facing the summer solstice sunrise, then it's impossible to know what that actually might have meant. But the sense of being there, actually I find the sense of being immersed in here is much greater now with the sunrises and sunsets set at particular times of year. So there's all kinds of interesting things that I can do. Obviously for the midwinter sunrises and sunsets, I need to change the grass, I need to take the flowers away, I need to make the grass winter grass. I could even dust it with snow and all that sort of thing, which I will do as time goes on, but I can't get too distracted from making the stones at the moment, so I've got to get back to that. But I just thought it was really interesting to just share some of the effects that you can see from changing these kinds of environmental settings. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and as I've been doing before, there'll be lots more videos to come. If you fancy visiting virtual Avebury, I'd love to have you visit. Leave any sort of comments that you've got on the blog, and I will set it so that the environment settings here are set to this, to the solstice sunrise, the summer solstice sunrise. So all you need to do is to go to World. Oh dear, my cursor is not playing. Go to World, go to Environment Editor, go to Environment Settings. Oops, click on that. And then up here, just click on Use Region Settings. Mine will play. And mine actually goes to it's a slightly foggier summer solstice setting. So just click on that and then click on OK, and then you can experience the summer solstice sunrise. Thanks very much. See you soon.